He's the shape you see in the dark. Michael Myers is a horror legend, and now he works for the Entity in Dead by Daylight. Before we begin, here's a short clip on what it's like to play against Myers.
Don't forget to call out when you see the killer.
Up, fucking Myers. Run, Jules, run.
Now let's look at the unique perks that Michael Myers brings to the table. First off, we have Save the Best for Last. It says you become obsessed with one survivor. Now, Obsession is a new mechanic that Myers brings to the table. Obsession is when one survivor out of the 4 will be marked as, well, your obsession. Depending on the perk, there are either buffs or nerfs that come with that. Your obsession will be marked with entity claws that are very similar to the ones that are surrounding Lori in Save the Best for Last perk. So, for Save the Best for Last, as long as your obsession is alive, after being in a chase for 20 seconds, the cooldown of your next successful attack is decreased by 30%. Your successful attack cooldown remains active for 5 seconds after a chase. Reinitializing a chase before the 5 seconds have lapsed will reset the successful attack cooldown timer. Only one obsession per match. So basically, after chasing, you'll get a buff if you have not attacked within 20 seconds. So that will be, your successful attack will be decreased by 30%, making it basically like unrelenting. But in my opinion, this is a very situational perk. I wouldn't exactly recommend it. It's not bad, but like I said, very situational, so it really depends on your playstyle. Next up, we have Play with your food. You become obsessed with one survivor. Every time you chase your obsession and let them escape, you receive a token up to a maximum of 3 tokens. Each token increases your movement speed by 3%. Each offensive action spends 1 token. So basically, every time you find your obsession and chase them and then let them go, you're going to get a buff to your movement speed. However, if you do an offensive action, like basically say the N-word on stream, I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. I basically you do an attack, you're going to lose those tokens, meaning you're going to lose your buffs. Again, very situational, highly dependent on how you like to play. And lastly, we have Dying Light. You become obsessed with one survivor. Your obsession's altruistic action speed is increased by 38%. Once the obsession is killed or sacrificed, every other survivor gains a penalty of 19% to repair, healing, and sabotage speed. So basically, if you focus down your obsession early in the match and kill them, all the survivors are going to have a penalty. Now, this one I do kind of like, because if you actually pair this up with Thanatophobia, the survivors are going to have a hard time. They're going to have huge penalties against their stuff, and it's going to take them longer to do basically everything. Now, let's move on to one of the more complicated things about Myers, which is his ability, Evil Within. Evil Within is an ability that you have to charge up that has 3 different tiers. You do this by stalking. Now, the more you stalk, the more the actual bar will fill up. So, like I said, Evil Within has 3 different tiers. Starting with tier 1, you have tremendously reduced terror radius. And trust me, this is extremely reduced. The survivors will not hear a heartbeat until you are literally within stabbing range. Slightly reduced movement speed and slightly reduced lunge. So, in Evil Within 1, Myers is, I want to say, the slowest killer in the game. And his lunge is very, very short. Like, saying he goes at least 2 feet might be an overstatement. It's very short. I would not risk it unless you were literally about to touch their ass. But, most importantly, which is unique to tier 1 only, is it grants immunity to detection perks. This means perks like Premonition and Spine Chill will not go off at all, no matter how close Myers is. Those perks are completely useless if Myers is in Evil Within 1. Evil Within 1 is basically, it's a pretty valid strategy. I'll go a little bit more into this later, but I do want you guys to know that if you plan on just saying Evil Within 1 throughout the whole entire game, you absolutely can. Moving on to 2. 2, now you have a moderately reduced terror radius, normal movement speed, and normal lunge. So you have a normal killer speed, you have a normal lunge, and your terror radius isn't as large as other killers, but it's still there. And now survivors will have an even bigger heads up that you're coming. And like I said, that sounded weird. Anyways, like I said, also, you don't have immunity to detection perks anymore. That is only unique to tier 1. So now, if you're looking their direction, Spine Chill will go off. If the survivors look in your direction, Premonition go off. So keep that in mind. Now, when you hit tier 3, you now have a normal terror radius, normal movement speed, slightly increased lunge, slightly increased vaulting speed, and your attacks deal double damage. Tier 3 also lasts 60 seconds. Now, what it means by double damage is you literally have no one escapes death active. If they are fully healed, nothing's wrong with them, no injuries, you stab them in tier 3, they're going down. If they're injured, they're going down, just as always. So basically, think of tier 3 Evil Within as an active no-ed. And the lunge in tier 3 basically goes insanely far. I don't know the distance, but trust me, it's insanely far. Michael Myers is an absolute threat in tier 3. Moving on to Myers' add-ons, in my opinion, he has the most varied selection of add-ons in the game, to the point that I am basically only going to go over the ones that I believe are game changers. So beginning with Boyfriend's Memo. Boyfriend's Memo increases the lunge you have at Evil Within 1. So as I said earlier, playing Evil Within 1 is a very valid strategy, and if that is the strategy you wish to pursue, I highly recommend using this add-on, because as I said, Myers' lunge at Evil Within 1 is basically non-existent. It's almost the same thing as a regular attack. If you use this, you'll have at least a little bit more oomph in your / that. I'm sorry I'm weird today, but that's the best way I could put it, okay? Moving on. So next we have Judas Journal. Judas Journal makes you obsessed with one survivor if you don't already have the perk to do so, and it considerably increases the rate at which Evil Within is gained when you're stalking your obsession. If you are running a build that is revolved around staying close to your obsession at all times, like say Dying Light or Play with Your Food, this is a good one to have, because not only are you going to be tracking down your obsession, but you're also going to be gaining Evil Within while you're at it, which will be in handy if you wish to have Evil Within 3 at the ready. Next we have Vanity Mirror. Evil Within 2 reveals survivors' auras when stalking around 16 meter range. Evil Within cannot progress past tier 2, slightly reduced movement speed, and for each hit scored event, gain 100% blood points for the hit scored event in the brutality category, an additional 150% blood points in the devious category. So this is, in a way, it's kind of like David's Will Live Forever, where if you perform a specific action, you're going to gain a hell of a lot more blood points than usual. And as I said, while stalking, the survivor's auras are going to be revealed within 16 meters. So if you're stalking, they're within range, they're going to pop up in highlighted silhouettes of them. But the trade-off is you lose some movement speed, and you no longer have your no-ed access at Evil Within 3. Tombstone Piece unlocks the ability to kill healthy or injured survivors when in Evil Within 3. So you basically have a Mori active when you have Evil Within 3 and you down a survivor. However, this is going to disable the ability to stalk Evil Within 3, and killing a survivor will considerably drain the power of Evil Within. So you have 60 seconds available to you while in Evil Within 3. If you kill a survivor, a good chunk of that's going to be gone. But the trade-off is you just straight up kill the survivor. You don't have to hook them. You don't have to drag them. They're dead. Also, this considerably increases the amount that you need to get Evil Within 3. If you want to make the best use of this, you always got to be stalking, and there's a trade-off to that. So it really depends on how you want to play it. Scratch Mirror is a pretty unique one. So with Scratch Mirror, Evil Within 1 reveals survivors' auras when stalking around 32 meters. Evil Within cannot progress past tier 1, and for each hit score event, grant 100% blood points for the hit score event in the brutality category, and an additional 200% blood points in the devious category. So basically, not only with Evil Within 1 having all of its perks where you can't be detected, very, very low terror radius, now, if they're within 32 meters when you're stalking, their auras are going to pop up and you could find them. However, like I said, drawback to this is you can't progress past tier 1, but you also basically get David's Will Live Forever and get a huge boost in your blood points. Finally, Fragrant Tuft of Hair. This gives you unlimited duration of Evil Within 3. However, the amount needed to reach Evil Within 3 is tremendously increased. You'll probably spend basically the first half of the game completely stalking, and when you finally reach Evil Within 3, that's it. You get to keep it, you have no ed, you could down anyone you see within the first strike. Now to start off the gameplay guide, let's get into some details of stalking. To stalk, you have to hold the ability button down, and you must have the survivors in your line of sight. So during this, your movement speed slows down, so as soon as the survivors break the line of sight, let go of it immediately until you can get a glimpse of the survivor again. Now one thing you must know is there is a determined limit of progress you can make on each survivor. As you stalk, you'll notice a white outline surrounding the survivors. This indicates you're building up meter for the selected survivor. However, you will notice that the white outline slowly turns red. This is a warning sign over time that the more you stalk a certain survivor, that outline will become solid red, indicating that you can no longer build up meter from the survivor. And you gotta do it to someone else instead. So this lasts for the entire game, so make sure you know how to manage your survivor outlines. Now, as we mentioned, you will begin in level 1. This is where you make a choice. Do you want to stay in level 1 for a bit and try to injure and hook a survivor before you level up? Or do you want to reach level 3 as soon as possible? Either playstyle is viable, but I will mention I had a harder time playing level 1 Myers in higher ranks, but rushing to level 3 gave me no problem, so it's overall dependent on your skill, and I just happen to be trash. Either choice you make will eventually lead you into stalking, so remember this. If you do not use level 3 once in a game, you are not using Myers' full ability unless you're purposefully playing level 1 only. So make it a habit to get to level 3 as often as possible, which is going to lead you into stalking situations. Stalking is very straightforward. Aim, gain meter, and then kill people. However, there's a few things I'd like to go over to get the most out of it. In level 1, remember, you have an extremely small terror radius and an immunity to detection perks, so use this to your advantage. If the survivor has not seen you, make yourself hard to be seen, but get a clear view of the survivor so you can build meter without them running off. Now, during level 2, and chasing is a different game. You now have a terror radius and detection perks work, so most of your meter will be built up during a chase. You must know what situations will provide you the most stalking meter. If you are chasing a survivor in the open area with little high walls, there's an opportunity to gain a ton of meter. If a survivor forgets who the hell they're playing against and decides to hang around a pallet or a window, stalk them and make them remember. If there are a ton of survivors in one area, stalk no matter the environment. You will build up a lot of meter. Now we're getting to level 3, however, I would like to say this. Build up your meter in level 2 until it is nearly touching level 3, and do not stalk to level 3 until you have a great chance to down a survivor. Having level 3 ready to go at your command instead of actively rushing to it is much more effective and can punish survivors in many situations. One situation that will come up frequently is survivors rushing to the basement to save someone. With level 3 ready to go, all you have to do is tap the ability button and make them pay, possibly causing more survivors to be down than there was before a few seconds ago. Or, you could get some salty disconnects, which are cool too. Level 3 Myers is a huge threat, so use that to your advantage. If you have someone hooked, go ahead and check on some gens near the hook and digress the progress. Your increased terror radius and one hit down ability will make survivors so much more hesitant to save the hook survivor, giving you time to set them back. Remember, survivors will be extremely cautious when in level 3, so even if you can't catch someone, you can patrol the generators and take away their progress, making it very risky for survivors to work on them again until you go back to level 2. Myers by no means is a complicated character, and I'd argue he's the most enjoyable to play as and against. Just keep these tips in mind and you should be able to hold your own against any survivor from low to high rank. Now, to be a shill for my YouTube channel, if you like the guide, please leave a like and maybe think about subscribing. I post videos on Dead by Daylight pretty fucking often, and I also do some other stuff, so anything helps. Anyways, I'd like to thank you guys for watching.